Hello, this is Andrew Thate from Minds and Money. Delighted to be joined us today by Derrick Weyrauch, who's President and Chief Executive Officer of Palladium One. Delighted to have you with us today, Derrick.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you as well. For the people who are listening in who may not be familiar about Palladium One, can you tell us a little bit about the company?
Yeah, it's an exploration and development stage company focusing in on green transportation metals. And our primary projects are in Finland and Canada. In the last 18 months, we've had discoveries on both continents. And I think what sets us apart is that there's very few people in the PGE copper nickel space. And we've got cash in the bank and lots of exploration activities planned for the remainder of this year.
Honing down specifically on your projects in Canada, can you tell us a little bit about where they're located?
Sure. So in Canada, it's actually our secondary project. It's called Tycho. We had an award-winning discovery of sulfide nickel deposition about a year ago, where we encountered approximately 10% nickel copper at surface. We've extended that over a several hundred meter strike length, and we need to do more drilling once we receive permits to extend that mineralization. The project itself is located in Ontario, just north of the Great Lakes, and if you're familiar enough with it, the northeast corner of Lake Superior.
Mm-hmm. And as you alluded to, of course, your main project is in Finland. Whereabouts is that project located?
So it's in north central Finland, in about 170 kilometers from the coast, south of the big greenstone belts that some other companies are active in northern Finland. So we're in a very mining friendly area where there actually is a tremendous amount of existing infrastructure. And that's really where the bulk of our efforts have been placed over the last 24 months.
Do you have any timelines as to when that project can move from exploration and development into production?
It's a little bit early. We published our first resource on it in September of 2019. We augmented it with another zone and a resource published in September of last year. And we are in the final stages of preparing another resource update where we anticipate having a fairly large increase in the resources. That should be out imminently. And once we get that process done, it's going to take a few more years to go through the various permitting cycles in order to be able to consider a construction decision. But it's moving quickly. I think we've got the critical scale for an economic mining scenario, but there's still work to do.
So you've got projects that are based in two great jurisdictions, Finland and Canada. Let's talk a little bit about the management team. What's your background?
My formal training is as a chartered accountant, Canadian chartered accountant. But I think one of the things that our team is really strong on is its depth of experience, especially in magmatic sulfide deposits. So, from a board perspective, we've got Peter Lightfoot on our board. This is actually his first board position. He's the former principal geologist at Inco Valley and globally recognized expert in these types of deposits. But the guy on the ground doing the detailed work and running the exploration programs is Neil Pettigrew. He's also a director of the company. He's based in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And he and I are really the drivers from a corporate perspective on as far as the company is concerned. But in addition, we have a very strong team domestically in Finland with decades of experience in the specific area that we're targeting. So, geology is really our strength. Two discoveries, two different continents in the last 2 years, I think, is testament to that exploration capability and success. Mm-hmm. As we progress, we've obviously needing to add team members to supplement the skill sets. We've recently added a consulting metallurgist to assess or help us assess the finished project. We've just recently brought in as well, I guess it's almost a year ago now, a new board member from Barrick, former assistant general counsel, tremendous amount of experience with regards to community and permitting activities for a lot of the major projects that Barrick has had in South America. So we're building the team up as needed based on the path of evolution that one would expect going from greenfield exploration through discovery and then hopefully into development.
And just in terms of your management team, how much skin do they have in the game in terms of how many shares do they own? What's a percentage of the company?
Well, we'd certainly like to have a lot more. We did not put the company together, so we didn't roll an asset in and take a huge slug of stock initially. But all told, I think we're around 2.5 million shares is what the ownership is, and in addition to that, obviously we're compensated via stock options and restricted share units, so that we've got much better alignment with the shareholders.
And then who are your main investors at the moment?
Well, we've really become very much institutionalized. So, a name that most will recognize is Eric Sprott. He got involved in the story shortly after we got involved 3 years ago, and currently is at about 15.5% ownership. We have, I believe, 2 additional institutions which may have in the neighborhood of 9% ownership. Their names are not yet disclosed, and a smattering of other institutions in the call it 0.5% to 5% range, if I can believe everything I'm told. So I would hazard a guess right now that we're in the neighborhood of 50+% institutionally held, and it's a real shift that occurred immediately after the discovery success that we had.
One thing that you alluded to at the start was that how investing in Palladium One is obviously a part of this whole sustainability, green economy, circular economy. I'm just going to be interested if we could explore a little bit further. What are Palladium One's ESG credentials, apart from the fact that you are looking for a palladium?
Well, look, I think first and foremost, the metal suites that we're dealing with are all green energy, if you will. So palladium, platinum, that's for attenuating air quality emissions in the conventional automotive transportation. We also have sulfide, copper, and nickel, as well as cobalt in our resources. So speaks very much into the battery metal side of things. So we're really trying to develop projects to help improve the greenhouse or minimize the greenhouse gas emissions for various modes of transportation. And we, with our metal suite, cover each of the conventional modes of transportation, whether it's hydrogen fuel cell, hybrid, battery electric, or the conventional ICE vehicle. But obviously ESG has 3 letters. We also have to talk about the social and the governance aspect of things. And I think from a governance perspective, that's really where an exploration stage company can really set itself apart. And we've done that by having a fully independent board. We have independent committees of the board, whether it be the audit committee, the compensation committee, or actually we've also formalized an ESG committee as well. So we've got a fairly robust governance scorecard that I think is very important and meaningful at this stage. Obviously, things will evolve as we move forward. But on the social side, other scorecarding things that we have to be very conscious of is engagement with local communities. And although in Canada, for example, it's not a requirement of the company to engage with the local communities that may be affected, it's the government's obligation. We still engage directly to make sure they're fully informed as to what our planned activities are, and we consult with them in respect of those activities. And just as we do in Finland as well, where the burden is a little bit different, we're dealing more at a political level with the local municipalities. So I think between the environmental side of things, the social and governance, I think we're in pretty darn good shape for this stage of a company.
And just one final question. I mean, obviously, we'll have investors who are listening into this, and hopefully some of them will obviously then choose to make an investment in Palladium One. What can they kind of expect to see from Palladium One, I guess, in the course of the next 12 months in terms of news announcements or plans you've got on the horizon?
I'll have to split the answer in 2 pieces, because we've got really independent programs happening in Finland and in Canada. So in Finland, the next major catalyst is going to be a resource update, which, as I said earlier, we anticipate a material increase in our overall endowment, and perhaps we'll be able to demonstrate the critical mass for a mining scenario. But in conjunction with that, we've taken an aggressive stance with regards to metallurgy. Our view is if you can't get the metal out of the rock, what's the point in finding more of it? So we spent quite a number of months doing very in-depth metallurgical work, and that is going to be announced as part of the resource update. And we'll also be talking over the course of the next 12 months with regards to the baseline environmental work that we've been doing. We actually started it last September to position us well for once we complete a PEA and then can move into a formal EIA process. But all these activities are going on. They're not really things that spur markets. Investors tend to love drill results above all else, even though it's really important de-risking. So we will be continuing in Finland to look at expanding regionally. The target area we have right now is only 5 kilometers of a 38-kilometer strike extent, and we know that based on reconnaissance work that the 38 kilometers is mineralized. It's just a matter of building it out. And then in Canada, we've got a number of very advanced exploration targets to follow up on the high-grade discovery that we had and to build out more. We had a very successful soil sampling program last year on the back of an extensive VTEM survey. And as soon as we get the permits in-house, we'll be testing 4 additional multi-line VTEM anomalies to see if the rock actually corresponds with ridiculously high-grade soil anomalies for copper, cobalt, and nickel.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, Derrick. We definitely wish you the best for the upcoming year. And once again, that was Derrick Weyrauch, President and Chief Executive Officer of Palladium One. Thank you for your time, Derrick.
Thank you very much, Andrew.